Cairo, Egypt, October 2013. Imagine stepping into the 6th of October area. It's a dense, working-class neighborhood, concrete apartment blocks packed pretty close together. Normally, the air's just thick with everyday sounds and smells, cooking, maybe some exhaust beams, street noise. But then something changes. Over 4 days, this awful smell starts radiating from one apartment building. It gets stronger, impossible to ignore. It's coming from apartment 314, and it's clear something is terribly wrong inside. When the authorities finally break down that door, well, it's not just quiet, it's a scene. Carefully arranged, almost. Theatrical. Meant to look like sheer rage, a domestic dispute ending in tragedy.
But that staging, that initial appearance, it was just a facade.
Right.
Beneath it lay something far colder. The bloody conclusion of a plan meticulously crafted over 8 long months.
An 8-month blueprint for murder.
Exactly. What we're looking at here isn't some sudden crime of passion. It's a maze of manipulation. Years in the making, really. You've got 3 main people. Hadil, the mastermind, highly educated. Then her husband, Fidaa, the victim. And his sister, Wafaa, the other victim.
Okay.
So for this deep dive, we need to peel back the layers. We can't just look at the crime scene. We have to trace Hadil's path, her motivations, starting way back. How does a medical professional plot for 8 months to kill 2 people and, crucially, convince everyone she's the innocent party? Let's unpack it.
Okay, yeah, let's go back 10 years earlier, right? Syria, 2003. Hadil is a medical student.
Sharp, very intelligent, but also skilled at crafting an image.
Oh, absolutely. She perfected this persona. The poor abandoned daughter her father had left for Egypt, and she used that. Played the broken-winged woman card brilliantly.
But that wasn't the reality.
Not according to the details we have. It seems she was always calculating. Relationships were transactions. She didn't just want success. She enjoyed actively controlling people. It was a deep part of her. And this is where Fidaa comes in, an engineering student. What did he see in her?
He saw the image she projected. Hardworking, self-reliant, maybe needing someone stable, almost like a father figure as well as a husband.
But for Hadil, it was different.
Completely. Fidaa was, well, he was her ticket, her pathway to Egypt. She desperately wanted to finish her advanced medical specialization there, obstetrics and gynecology. He could make that happen.
So they get married, have 2 children, but the dynamic wasn't right for her.
No. The tension started almost right away. Fidaa was reliable, steady, sure, but he was passive. He didn't have that same fierce ambition she did, especially about moving to Egypt quickly. She felt trapped. Trapped by his lack of drive, by the marriage itself. But here's a critical point. Divorce wasn't really an option for her.
Why not?
Financially, it would have been disastrous. Because of the social system, divorcing him meant she'd lose any claim to future inheritance. So she felt stuck, but needed a way out that was profitable.
And there was another complication, a big one. Fida's sister, Wafaa.
Ah, Wafaa, yes. This is where it gets really tangled. Wafaa had a strong personality. And apparently, she was the only one who saw through Hadil right from the beginning.
She didn't trust her.
Not at all. Reportedly called her a she-devil. Sensed something wasn't right behind that innocent act. So Wafaa instantly became Hadil's main obstacle, the person standing between her and full control, especially control of Fida's finances.
So Hadil is stuck, waiting.
Until 2011. Things change in Syria, unforeseen events, and the family is forced to move to Egypt. Suddenly, Hadil has exactly what she wanted.
The setting.
The setting, yes. Her husband and her main obstacle, Wafaa, are now under the same roof in a new city, a city where Hadil already had connections. The stage was finally set, and that's when the 8-month blueprint really kicks into gear.
8 months. It's chilling how long she planned this. And it didn't start with violence, did it? It started with reputation.
Exactly. Sabotage first. Psychological warfare. Phase 1 was all about destroying the reputations in the new neighborhood in Giza.
How did she do that?
She started spreading this incredibly vicious rumor.
Yeah.
It's toxic. That Fidaa, her husband, was a pimp. Yeah. Running prostitutes out of their own apartment.
Wow.
And not just that, but involving his own sister, Wafaa, in it. And claiming he was trying to force her, Hadil, the devoted wife, to participate too.
Why? Why that specific rumor? What was the strategic purpose?
It was absolutely crucial groundwork. Think about it. If you establish that narrative before anything happens...
And if they're found dead?
Precisely. The police, the neighbors, everyone immediately thinks, the pimp husband, the shame, it must be a murder-suicide. It explains everything neatly, fits the social biases.
She was creating the conclusion before the crime even happened, pre-writing the police report almost.
You could say that. Manipulating the narrative from the start. So with that social poison spread, she moves to phase 2. the medical manipulation.
And this is where her being a doctor becomes truly terrifying.
It's weaponized knowledge. She convinces Fidaa he has hepatitis C, a really serious diagnosis.
Well, he didn't.
No. All he had was colitis, something manageable. But she uses the fake diagnosis to insist on treatment. Self-administered V-drips at home.
And what was actually in those drips?
Drugs designed to slowly, systematically destroy his kidney and liver function. It wasn't treatment. It was slow poisoning disguised as care, creating a plausible medical decline over time.
That is ice cold. And the slow process also let her find help.
Yes, it gave her cover. She needed certain drugs, supplies. This led her to visit a local human rights aid organization that helps Syrians. And there, she strategically encounters Dr. Abdelsalam.
Another doctor.
Another doctor, and she plays her part perfectly. The respectable, suffering wife trapped with a criminal pimp husband, Dr. Abdelsalam fell for it completely.
He became infatuated.
Totally infatuated.
Yeah.
Saw himself as her rescuer. Became utterly devoted, ready to do whatever she asked.
So now she has the medical cover story, the slow poisoning underway, and an accomplice who's a doctor.
Right. And she uses the rumor she created Fidaa's supposed filthy life as her excuse to leave him publicly. Tells the neighbors she can't take it anymore.
Making her look like the victim escaping a bad situation.
Exactly. She moves in with the smitten Dr. Abdelsalam, and they start finalizing the actual assassination plan, which involves bringing in one more person.
A third accomplice.
Her cousin, Yehia. Hadil arranges for him to come to Egypt. The promise. A hefty payment once she secures the inheritance after Fidaa's death.
So the team is assembled. What was the specific plan for the murders, the staging?
It was incredibly detailed, designed to reinforce that murder-suicide narrative she'd built.
Okay, walk us through it.
The script was, Wafaa needed to be found dead, throat slit, wearing only underwear. The implication being Fidaa found her in a compromising, shameful state and snapped.
And Fidaa?
Fidaa was supposed to look like he killed himself afterward. Wrist slit. That's the classic signifier, right? The knife used would be placed in his hand with only his fingerprints on it. A neat package.
The level of detail. It's hard to comprehend. So the night itself, Hadil goes over to the apartment. The excuse is Fidaa's treatment.
Correct. She administers the IV drips
Right.
to Fidaa in the living room. But then, the absolute peak of her cruelty, perhaps.
Wafaa.
She convinced Wafaa, her sister-in-law, to also take an IV drip. Under the guise of it being a special weight loss treatment Hadil had arranged for her, preparing her for some cosmetic procedure.
Unbelievable. So she gives them both IVs laced with powerful narcotics, supplied by Dr. Abdelsalam.
Yes, strong knockout drugs.
Yeah.
30 minutes later, both Fidaa and Wafaa are deeply unconscious. Hadil checks, confirms they're out, and then she leaves the apartment. Empty-handed, clean.
And moments later,
Abdelsalam and Yehia enter. And this is where the meticulous 8-month plan hits a snag, a fatal flaw.
what happens?
Human emotion. After all that cold calculation, Abdelsalam, apparently fueled by this intense rage Hadil had cultivated in him, rage against Fidaa, protective love for Hadil, he just snaps.
He doesn't follow the script.
He completely ignores the script for Fidaa. Instead of staging the suicide by cutting the wrists, he immediately slits Fida's throat. Instant kill. The suicide angle is gone.
Wait, why would Hadil, being so calculating, rely on someone so obviously driven by emotion at that critical moment? Did she misjudge him?
That's a fascinating question. It seems she did miscalculate the intensity of the passion she herself had engineered. She created this narrative of Fidaa being a monster, and Abdelsalam acted on that narrative, not her clinical murder plan. He saw himself as an avenger, not just an accomplice following steps.
So Abdelsalam kills Fidaa incorrectly, ruining the staging. What about Yehia?
Yehia proceeds with Wafaa, moves her, undresses her to match the shameful discovery part of the plan, and slits her throat. Then they grab valuables, phones, money, Wafaa's gold jewelry to make it look like a robbery gone wrong, a secondary motive.
And they dump the knife in the Nile.
Right. But the damage to the core narrative, the suicide staging, was already done.
4 days later, the police arrive. They find the scene. And initially, because of Hadil's groundwork,
They lean towards the story she wanted them to believe. Shame, anger, murder-suicide. It fit the rumors everyone had heard.
but the evidence didn't fit?
Not at all. The unraveling started almost immediately, in the lab. The toxicology report was the first massive blow to Hadil's story.
What did it show?
It showed that Fidaa and Wafaa didn't die from the throat slitting. They died from massive overdoses of narcotics, administered via IV before the cuts.
Meaning they were already unconscious.
Deeply unconscious, unable to struggle. which completely contradicts a violent, rage-fueled murder-suicide. That scenario demands signs of a fight. This scene had none. The tox report screened premeditation, not passion.
Okay, so the medical evidence undermines the narrative. What else?
Surveillance footage. CCTV. It clearly shows Hadil visiting that afternoon, staying about 30 minutes long enough to administer drugs via 4V, leaving empty-handed.
And then,
about an hour later, two men later identified as Abdelsalam and Yehia are seen entering the apartment complex, and then leaving shortly after, moving quickly, looking suspicious, like they were fleeing.
so the timeline implicates them.
Absolutely. The police connect the dots. Hadil lied about Fidaa's illness, the very illness that gave her the excuse to administer drugs. She was the only source of his terrible reputation. And these two men, linked to her, show up right after she leaves, just before the estimated time of death via overdose.
It all points back to her.
It does, and when they bring in Yehia, her cousin, he cracks, almost immediately.
What does he say?
He confesses everything. Says Hadil convinced him Fidaa was abusive, dangerous, even had AIDS, that she needed saving. He was apparently shocked to learn it was all a fabrication by Hadil just to get him involved.
And Abdelsalam.
His denials just crumbled under the weight of Yahia's confession and the undeniable forensic evidence. The game was up.
So the 8-month plan, 2 doctors, a cousin, all built on lies. Destroyed by science.
In the end, yes. The meticulous planning, the psychological manipulation, the staged scene, none of it could withstand the scrutiny of the toxicology report and the CCTV footage. All 3 were arrested, tried, and ultimately sentenced to death.
The sheer length of the planning, 8 months, that's what's so disturbing.
It really is. It's the sustained deception, the cold calculation over such a long period, and the fact that 2 medical professionals used their skills, their oaths, basically, as weapons, complete disregard for human life, for financial gain. It's chilling.
And the children, they were there the whole time.
Yes. Sources confirm Fidaa's family took custody. But imagine living in that apartment for 8 months while your mother is slowly poisoning your father, manipulating your aunt, planning their murders, completely unaware of the horror unfolding around them.
Just devastating.
It leaves you with a really unsettling thought, doesn't it? Hadil could make people believe utter falsehoods. Convinced her husband he had a fatal disease, convinced her sister-in-law to take a lethal injection for weight loss, convinced a doctor to help her murder. So, beyond forensics, beyond cameras, what real safeguards does society have against someone so adept at manipulation, driven by such profound, cold self-interest? How do you stop someone who can twist reality itself?